This is London Tonight with Ben Scotchbrook.
Good evening to you. It's a scheme that has the support of politicians, both local and national. Project Ceasefire has been credited with reducing the problems of gangs and gang rivalry as far afield as America and Scotland. Waltham Forest councillors too claim it has had a clear positive impact on gangs there. But they say that cuts in government grants are now threatening its future. Phil Bales reports on how Project Ceasefire works and why it may not be able to much longer.
I'm just a kid who dreamed bigger than the rest. Now I'm living them correct here, sitting in the X. I love the star life, but
Ricardo and Jesse are in a volunteer-run media project in a Waltham Forest gang territory. The project was started by a man who knows everything about gangs. He's written a book about them. In fact, it's his own story. He was a notorious gangster.
I used to sell Class A drugs. I could make about £3 profit a week. I was caught up in everything you could possibly think of in terms of gang life, like shootings, stabbings, like organising big robberies, everything. I've done it. I mean, I was shot in the side. Luckily, I survived.
we've got the shamps, it's a wave spray all over the place. All the girls know my face, got to blend it off your shades.
Reformed, he founded True Stars Entertainment. It presents a viable alternative to gangs, but it isn't viable financially. It receives no funding. At the same time, the council's anti-gang strategy is at risk from government cuts. Waltham Forest is sandwiched between Hackney and Haringey. Both those suffered serious riots and looting. In the middle, Waltham Forest was largely unscathed. That may have been coincidence, but the council believes its anti-gang strategy is already working.
First of all, it's based upon selecting out the 30 to 40 most difficult families in the borough. And what we do is the police, go to the families and give them a choice, either to get out of the gang culture or to continue, in which case they will be dealt with very heavily by the police and the judiciary.
However, 11 gangs are known to operate in Waltham Forest. Rivalries based on postcodes have cost several lives. In 2007, 14-year-old Paul Erahan was murdered by fighting gangs armed with samurai swords. The following year, Adnan Patel and Yusufu Miro were both fatally stabbed by gang members in the borough on the same day. And a month later, 18-year-old Charles Jr. Hendricks bled to death as hundreds celebrated the Olympic handover from Beijing to London. Recent rioting in the capital has led to demands for action to break up gangs, particularly following claims that rival groups called ceasefires so that they could gang together in attacking police. Waltham Forest say their strategy could be undermined. The rappers say initiatives like this help too.
People that are in the streets, they ain't got nothing to do, but like, I've come out and started to do music and start to do acting and stuff like that. I'm away from the streets.
Phil Bales, London Tonight, Waltham Forest.
Well, in a statement, the Home Office said that community safety partnerships play an important role in helping to cut crime. We are confident that they will continue to be able to deliver on local priorities within their new budgets. But it adds Home Office funding for community safety partnerships in 2011-2012 amounts to a 20% reduction on the previous year. Ministers are yet to take final funding decisions for 2012-2013. Well, Professor John Pitts is not only an expert on gangs, he's an expert on gangs in Waltham Forest. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
Very briefly, can we start with your perception of the problem in Waltham Forest? Is it particularly bad there?
No, it's not particularly bad, but it's like the problem in a number of other boroughs. And as your clip showed, there have been a number of fatalities that have been gang-related, and those in turn are linked into the drugs business.
Well, Chris Robbins, the leader of the council, was saying there, and he's pointed out before, that there wasn't so much violence during the riots in Waltham Forest as there were nearby, in boroughs nearby. He puts that down to the success of Project Ceasefire. How does it work?
Ceasefire is it's a project which has been tried in Strathclyde and Manchester, and essentially it's a pincer movement between the police and the social agencies who say, we know you're doing it, we may not be able to arrest you now, but we will make your lives very uncomfortable because we will enforce everything. But there is an alternative, and that's provided by youth workers, educationalists, employers. So you choose. If you continue to do it, we can put you away. If you choose one of these options, that will improve your life.
So it's essentially a carrot and a stick.
Yes, carrot and stick. Yeah, yeah.
You mentioned the drug problem there. You believe that the real problem of gangs, the growing problem of gangs, is fueled by drugs, and that was the major thing that changed the gang culture in this country.
Yes, I think if you look back over 25 years, we once had organised crime, Cray Brothers and those that followed, and street corner crime with kids hanging out in the corner. With the advent of Class A drugs flooding into this country, you see organised crime changes, and street corner crime and organised crime begin to link together. And that's one of the problems. And now I think, although not everybody is a major drug dealer, it's the drug business that sets the pace and sets the aspiration of young people, because they see the kind of money, the kind of lifestyle that serious players can make.
There are going to be people watching this who want to know why on earth these people should be offered any sort of carrot, any sort of incentive. It should be the stick, because they're breaking the law and that's the end of it.
Well, I've only told you half the story. The other half of the story is that most of the young people who are engaged in gangs or affiliated with gangs are there not because that's what they choose to do, but because they're trying to make themselves safe from what might happen to them if the local gangs turn against them, and what might happen if the gangs who are in opposition to them believe that they're implicated because they live in the same place, which is why I called the report Reluctant Gangsters.
Okay, last question, and it's the question that no one can answer, but you probably are best placed to. What's the one thing that we should be doing to tackle the gang problem in this country?
Targeted youth work that adopts this ceasefire model. That's proved to be effective in helping young people and supporting young people to desist from this activity, and it also offers them protection, which at the moment many young people in these neighbourhoods don't feel that they can possibly get.
So your conclusion, Project Ceasefire works and it should be funded?
I agree, yes.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for that.